Hello, everyone, and good evening, and welcome to Old Gold Racing's digital Cheltenham preview. I am Ed from Old Gold Racing. A special warm, snowdrop, daffodil, crocusy welcome to all of you sitting at home, and a huge welcome and thank you to our panel too. Francesca Kamani, thank you very much for all the work that you've done to prepare for and run with tonight. You're going to take up the reins in a second and steer with stunning precision, I know. Thank you also to your team on the panel. We have an aggregate of 35 years of champions, 20 times champion jockey, 11 times champion trainer, champion conditional jockey, champion amateur jockey, and junior Heart of England Cluedo champion. The first person who can correctly name all of those in a message this evening can win a prize of a magnum of Edward Sheldon's champagne. So message us now with your answers. Thank you, AP, for coming along, Paul Nichols and Paul Webber, for imparting all of your knowledge and experience with us tonight. At Old Gold Racing, we're incredibly grateful. And so no doubt are also the people sitting at home. I would like everyone at home to meet Ben Merritt. Ben is Old Gold Racing's dedicated tipster who generously garnishes our syndicate members with 2 tips every Saturday in their racehorse update. In real life, Ben runs the Racing Analyst website, which were you to subscribe to it, you'd receive 3 very well-researched tips a day. And if you'd started with Ben in 2013 with a level £10 a point bet on every single one of his tips, you would be £42,000 the richer. He's worth checking out. Before I hand over to Francesca, there is, of course, a long, dark Gordon Elliott-shaped shadow hanging over Cheltenham. At Old Gold Racing, we sent you a statement of our opinion as pertaining to his actions in an email last night for this evening, and we said exactly the same in the Old Gold Gazette. Everyone knows how we feel. We have a pretty good idea how you guys feel. We all know how we all feel about this, and therefore, for that reason, we're simply not going to go up that rabbit hole this evening. Rather, we think that this is now the time to take back ownership of Cheltenham for the good guys, for the caring girls, for the runners, the riders, the lovers of racing. It's time to lead people away from that darkness and back into the bright, beautiful, vibrant festival lights. Speaking of bright, beautiful, and vibrant, I'm going to hand over to Francesca. I hope you all enjoy tonight, and I'll see you at the end to wish you all a fond farewell. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, Ed. Beautifully done. A wonderful introduction to myself and the rest of the panelists. And thank you also for addressing the issue, which, like you said, has cast rather a long shadow over the world of racing in this last week or so. I think the only thing I would add from myself, and I'm sure on behalf of all the panelists, is that these isolated incidents are in no way representative of all the love, the care, the attention and the respect that we know these wonderful animals receive from the vast majority in the industry. So I think we should leave that aside and look to the future, look to the Cheltenham Festival of 2021. We are Old Gold Racing, we are glass half full people. And actually, on that note, I think I might need a little bit of a top up. Thank you to our friends at Fitzdares for providing this lovely bottle of fizz, which us panelists are enjoying because we're not going to get to enjoy it, let's face it, during the festival. We'll be working. And also, before we get stuck into the festival preview, I'm just going to say a quick thank you also to Barber's Farmhouse Cheeses. I don't know if you can see here this delicious array of cheeses that we have been sent, which you can enjoy on their own or dress them up in these brilliant recipes made up for us by Richard Craven at the Royal Oak in Watcott near Shipston on Stour. You can enjoy them during the festival with a nice glass of red, put the fire on, ITV racing. It will be absolutely superb. So before we, well, I think it's about time to get stuck into the preview. We're going to try and keep things roughly to about an hour, the proceedings. We're going to look at all the main races, and then I know that Ben and Paul Nichols and the rest of the panelists will have some little intriguing tips to drop in throughout the rest of the preview. So there's so much to discuss, so much to get on with. I think we should crack on. But actually first, I'm going to come to Sir AP McCoy, because I want to know all of those trophies behind you. Can you fill us in? You might need to take the mute off first, though.
Sorry, Francesca. I'm better on mute, so I am than I am talking. Those trophies. I was doing something last night for William Hill, and I was told that I had to remind people that I used to be a jockey, or that I'm, so just in case someone forget that I actually won something.
Oh.
It's good for my ego to have that. You know what I mean? Just makes me feel a bit better.
Surely it hasn't been that long.
Unlike all you people with all your careers at a high, I can't. Mine's past me, so I've just got to live in the past. Really.
Oh my word! Should we all just get our little violin?
Fortunately,
yeah.
We feel so sorry for you.
I know. My word. I also meant to say on the cheese note that there will be a beautiful selection of cheeses winging your way to the person that submits the best questions. And we have actually had a load of really good questions in advance that I will be trying to drop into the preview throughout the course of the evening. But also please keep sending us your questions and I will do my best to direct them in the direction of our panelists. But I think that actually the first question that we really should start with Old Gold Racing in mind, and this one's directed to the two pools, starting with Mr. Webber. Who's going to win the first at Newbury tomorrow?
Probably the man top right on my screen, but maybe not us. But we're looking forward to Lady de Vega's long-awaited debut tomorrow at the ground with Suter. We did have a deluge of rain last night around here, but it should be decent tomorrow. She's had plenty of practice, and I think she's ready for action. And listen, I think we're in the first 3 or 4. I guess everyone will be thrilled tomorrow, and let's hope for that.
Mr. Nichols, are you going to upset the Old Gold party?
Well, I'd say he's favourite in the Racing Post tonight. On his form in France in the summer, when he was second, he'll go very close to winning. If he runs like he did at Kempton over Christmas where he pulled up, he won't. He's had plenty of time since then, and I think he'll run well, yeah.
Okay, right, so let's get stuck into the first day of the festival. And actually, a question that we've had through, a bit more of a generic question, and maybe I'll send this one the way of AP, is without, well, it's going to be a very different Cheltenham Festival this year, isn't it? And without the crowds, without the roar, how different is it going to be for the horses and also for the jockeys involved?
It'll definitely be very different for the jockeys, that's for sure, because there is nowhere like Cheltenham, Francesca, especially if you're lucky enough to win, because when you pull up and you walk down in front of the stands in Cheltenham, it's the only racecourse that has a natural walkway that walks down stands, and everyone actually waits to cheer the winner in. So it's something that jockeys are definitely going to miss, the ones that are lucky enough to win. Horses will definitely find it a little different, because as we all know, the preliminaries at Cheltenham are a lot different than they are most of the time when they've ran. So that some horses can obviously get lit up much by Cheltenham. Some horses need lighting up, so Cheltenham sometimes can make horses a little better and a little more competitive, but it will have effect on some and good effects on some and not so good effects on others. But I'm sure the trainers and the people will probably know which horses will hopefully be better off without the crowd there.
We might be more likely to not get a full start on the first race on the first day with all the excitement and the pressure cooking atmosphere.
Yeah, definitely. It'd be very different. It's very hard not to notice the enormity of the size of the crowds when you're a jockey cantering to the start at Cheltenham pretty much all the way from the moment you canter, from start to finish. There's a grandstand of people that you never see at any other race course or jump. So Cheltenham is very, very different, and it will be this year, that's for sure.
Now, we can't go into detail on every single race. We're going to put more emphasis on the championship races, of course. But on the first day, we are going to kick our preview off with the Sporting Life Arkle, which is the second race on the card. And I'm actually going to use my question as a question that we've had in from Chris Trower. So the Arkle shaping up to be one of the most exciting races of the festival. Do the panel believe that Shishkin is still the one, given the challenge he now faces from Energumen and All Mankind? So Ben, let's hear your views on the subject.
I don't think it's going to be straightforward for Shishkin as it looked at the start of the season. You've got horses like All Mankind that are going to make it a real test. And while Shishkin didn't jump very well at Doncaster when it was run slow, this is going to be a real test at 2 miles, because he doesn't. All Mankind does nothing but go off. That will help Chiskin. It will make him jump better based on what we've seen so far. But you've got the likes of Energumen who often does front run and does want a trip as well. So the more of a trip it becomes, the more it becomes a better race for Energumen. And I personally, I think he's the one to beat. I mean, Chiskin's a short favourite. I think Energumen's got a better form this year anyway, over fences.
Right, well, actually, you mentioned the odds there, which reminds me that I was meant to ask James Day of All World Racing, who's operating behind the scenes, to see if he can drop in the race card and see if we can have a look at the odds and how the field is shaping up at the moment, because it does definitely seem to be between those three, Shishkin, Energumen, All Mankind, with different kind of form lines. What did the rest of the panel think on the subject? Let's start with Paul Nichols.
Yeah, I think, like you say, Francesca's a 3-horse. There won't no such thing as a 3-horse race, but I think Chiskin and Energumen and All Mankind are the 3 to concentrate, and I think the others have all got an uphill battle, and that probably will come down to between Chiskin and Energumen. Both good horses. Chiskin's been very impressive. He beat horse of mine, Tamarat Domatin, who won the Pendle on Saturday very, very easily at Christmas, and I think he's the one to beat.
Guys, feel free to jump in. Whoever wants to go next, just give us your opinion.
Will All Mankind's jumping hold up flat out round Cheltenham, I wonder?
He'll be under pressure, wouldn't he?
This is a race for the last 25 years I've always watched from the infield. Unfortunately, never ridden in it. With my mate Angus Gold, Jake Hamdan's manager, we always go down to the last to watch the Arkle, and it's one of the most exciting things of the entire year, without any doubt.
I actually, funny enough, I thought in last year's Supreme Novices Hurl, Chiskin looked at times that he got in, that he didn't have that much tactical speed. He got caught, he got into a little trouble and got himself out of it. I actually think he's looked a faster horse over fences. As Paul said, he beat Paul's horse Tamarat Domatin, who's rated 147, beat him snug. He beat the horse of Colin Tizar's Dorado Allen, whatever he's called, rated 149. Beat them on the bridle. That's pretty high ratings for horses that that have that kind of form. All Mankind is rated 154. The one little worry I have about Energumen, and he's a very, very good horse. When he won at Gorham Park, he had a tendency, jumped the last a little bit right, and I just thought each time that he ran, definitely at Leopardstown and at Naas, that he had a little slight tendency to go to his right. And with the pace that there could be on the Arkle, you can't really afford to be doing that. He's a very, very good horse. The other thing is, I think the ground is very, very important. I said about a lot of Nicky Henderson's horses, they're much better when the ground's a little better. If it did happen to get a little better, Chiskin has never really, I think he won it the first time he won at Huntington, or one of the times it might have been good ground, but I think you'll see a better horse on better ground. I think Chiskin's a good thing.
Right, so Chiskin for AP and Energumen for Ben, correct?
Yeah.
And for the 2 Pauls?
Chiskin for me. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so get your pens out at home, take your notes down. Moving on, the next race we're going to have a look at is the Ultima Handicap Chase. It is, sorry, I've got so many pieces of paper, I don't really know where I'm going here. It is the 3rd race on the day. It's Handicap, of course. It's one of 5 handicap chases run at the festival, and the winners often take part in the Grand National going forward. What kind of qualities do you think horses need in a race like this, Paul Webber?
This will be about as competitive a 3-mile handicap chase as you get all season, I would thought, right there with the Hennessy Labrador, whatever you want to call it. And there's greater men than me know you've got to travel well, even in a 3-mile handicap chase. It's going to be furious, I'd imagine.
Actually, just on that subject, what are we thinking ground-wise ahead of the festival? Because I've been hearing Simon Clay saying that they're not going to water. Are we getting concerned that the ground is going to be quickening up considerably?
Well,
it's plenty of rain forecast next week, I think. I think they're looking at they'll be on the slow side on the first day.
Okay,
yeah,
so no concern.
Paul's got the best weatherman in the country, so he's usually very accurate on that. And it's it's certainly. I wish it was going to dry up a bit more next week than it looks as it might.
And are you going to be running Soldier of Love, Paul Nichols?
No, if he runs at all, he'll run in the 3.5 miler the next day. He doesn't run in this. I'm nothing in this. Okay,
so nothing for you. Ben, from a punting perspective, how should we be approaching it?
Nick Williams has got one called On For The Team, who chased home one of Paul Nichols' horse, next destination over at Newbury. He's only beaten about 1 length, just over. That's a decent run. Nichols' horse is obviously won a grade 2 next time out. He's rated 153. They met on level weights that day, and One For The Team comes here rated 140. He's had a run last time out in the Sky Bet Chase. It was his first time at a big field, which would have given, he didn't run the best races, but it would have given him a lot of experience of running a big field here. And I think he's going to run a massive race in this.
I trained his dam One Gulp, and she never knew how to give up. She was fantastically brave and stayed 3 miles. And I quite agree. I thought 16 to 1 or whatever about him looked an interesting bet.
Yeah.
I'm liking the sound of this one. AP, any views?
I can see why Kim Bailey's horse is going to be favourite. Won a novice in Cheltenham last time. Only had the 3 starts over fences. Finished 4th in the Martin Pipe at the festival last year. Looks at the moment like he's got good weight, 10, 13. There's a load of horses in there from Ireland. Coco Beach won the Thyestes. Whether he goes for this or the National Hunt, yes or not, I'm not so sure. But OK Corral hasn't ran since he won at Doncaster last year. Probably go for the National. I wouldn't be surprised if he ran here and ran pretty well. But yeah, I could see why the horse that's, that One For The Team. I thought he ran really well against Paul's horse Next Destination, but I was very disappointed with him last time in Doncaster. He was beaten a long way. And
he went well for a long way.
It's hard to give that run. He did. It's just this is going to be a better race, and I just think, look, happy go lucky. He deserves to be favourite on that. Only in his Martin Pipe run and being relatively unexposed over fences. It's a very tough handicap to ride a horse with that little experience, and so he needs to be well handicapped. But sometimes when you get horses that are lightly raced over fences, you've got a little bit in hand, and he might have.
Rightio. Well, then moving on to the feature race of the day, the Unibet Champion Hurdle, and this really is shaping up to be an absolute cracker, isn't it? But with the likes, oh yeah, here we go. That was my bad. We have got the race cards for the big races on the day, and this is great. Look, we can see it all in front of us. So, Grade 1, as we all know, over the 2 miles. So this will be a pretty quick affair. Honeysuckle is the favourite, the undefeated Irish mare trained by Henry de Bromhead, ridden by Rachel Blackmore. And then you've got Epatante, previous winner of the race, Goshen, who bounced back to form in really good style last time out. And then further down, you've got the likes of Silver Streak, Bouva Dare, 2-time previous winner of this race. I think it is an absolute corker. Is it a bit like the Arkle we were discussing earlier? Is it a 3-horse race or is it a 2-horse race between the mares? AP, which way are you going?
I think ground is very important, Francesca, because I think for both Goshen and Honeysuckle, I think the ground being on the slower side will definitely give them an advantage over Epatante. I never really thought of Honeysuckle as one that could win a champion hurdle until the last time in Leopardstown. When Rachel Blackmore crossed the road in Leopardstown, is about a mile from home, she kept sending her and she jumped. It was the first time I looked at her and thought, yeah, she jumped like a champion hurdler. And she just lengthened away like a really, really good mare. And I thought then she'd take a lot of beating. I do think if the ground is slow, I think she will beat Goshen and Epatante. I think if the ground dries out, I think Epatante, she was very disappointing in Kempton last time. She looked, the speed she quickened between the second last and the winning post in the fight in 5th. She just looked really, really good. And I think if she gets good ground, I think she'll win. But the ground is so important. Goshen will like good soft ground. I'd love to see him win after what happened to him last year. But I do think that Honeysuckle would beat him on soft ground. I think if the ground is better, I think Epatante would beat the two of them.
Okay, yeah, and excuses for Epatante's defeat last time at Kempton. And Paul Webber, from a training point of view, what Gary Moore managed to do with Goshen, I think is remarkable, especially given that run at Cheltenham back in December when he did everything wrong. He was too keen, he dropped out very tamely. and then to get him back to winning ways, and in really good winning ways, I thought was remarkable. Has he done enough to restore your confidence in him?
I think very nearly, but I just wonder whether it's all coming a bit soon, and there've been a few hiccups along the way. I mean, nobody's a bigger admirer of every single member of the Moore family, and they've obviously played a blinder in all their ways. Even Ryan doing the school run for when Jamie was injured and all that sort of stuff. And I would love the Moors to win it more than anything else, but I just feel these two mares, which you dream of owning and having to breed from, I think they might just be just a tiny bit in front of Goshen at this stage. And Honeysuckle was bought by a great judge, Peter Maloney, of good pal of ours, and is the most beautiful mare, unbeaten. I think I'll still stick with her.
And Ben, are there any bigger prices that you could give a squeak to, or are you concentrating on those at the top of the market?
I agree with AP. If the ground comes up soft, then Honeysuckle is going to be the one to beat. I've never really warmed to her, but that day at Leopardstown, she was brilliant. There is one at a bigger price who's a bit of a dark horse. It's one of the right at the bottom of the screen, James de Burley, trained by Willie Mullins. It's a horse that Willie's actually been after for the last 18 months. The previous trainer owner, they refused to sell, but a deal was struck up with the current owners that when he turned 5, he would be sold over, and he was sent straight to Willie Mullins at the start of January. Willie's obviously seen enough of him to throw him straight into a champion hurdle without a run. He could have run at the Dublin Festival in early February. He was very good in France. He likes soft ground, and he'll see the trip out well. For Willie Mullins to send a horse here without a run, he must be doing something good at home. AP actually rode his full brother, Finnegan Henderson, son de Ballet. I think he only reached 4 years old, but yeah, AP will know a bit about the pedigree.
Yeah, I think the worrying thing I would have about James de Burley is that, from what I can see, Willie Mullins never runs any horse that he gets from France until the following year, and I think he's probably got this lad and thought it's the only option, you know. So I don't know. Look, I'm not surprised that he's running them, but I don't know if I'd really fancy him, you know.
Right, now we're going to put this one to the vote. We want you guys at home to make your selections. But before that, we need a selection from Paul Nichols. Which way you go?
I was very impressed with Goshen the other day at Wincanton on that very soft ground. I think he's ground dependent, and the slowest ground probably will be on the first day. He went a right gallop at Wincanton and kept going. He's relatively fresh. I'm going to go with him.
Okay, so fingers on the buzzers, everybody at home. With any luck, yes, brilliant. We're going to get our first poll up. So who is your favourite for the champion hurdle? You've heard from all of our panelists with their selections. Are you going to go for one of the mares, Honeysuckle, Epatante? Is it going to be the newly reinvigorated Goshen or the dependable Silver Streak? We will give you not very long to vote because we want to get the results of this in and see what you think at home, and see who you agree with on the panel. Can we close voting and get our result? Here we go. Drum roll. Okay. Honeysuckle 47%, Epatante only 12%, Goshen 25%, and then a few votes for a few of the others. Then you've got a few people intrigued in James de Burley at a bigger price as well there. So that's interesting. She does seem to be pretty good, Honeysuckle, doesn't she? She was undefeated so far, and like AP said, she just seems to be getting better and better, and the softer ground will be to her liking. Right, where are we going next? Oh yeah, we are going to the Close Brothers Mares Hurdle next, because Paul Webber, let's start with you. Indefatigable makes a return to the scene of her greatest triumph, arguably your greatest triumph, winning the last race on the last day at the festival last year. And actually we had a question through, did you think she was going to win last year? I've got to say, I watched it again recently, and how she got up, unbelievable.
I think that's the thing. It's still remarkable that she did get up. She was trying to, there was a false start, and she started to try and bite everybody at the start. So she was last of 24 for the first mile. But she's, like her name, she's indefatigable, and she galloped away, and it was a fairy tale. Of course it wasn't. at a Cheltenham that probably should have even happened, to win the last by a short head was a major miracle. Things haven't gone quite the way they should have done for her this year. She ran well on the flat and listed race, ran well at Kempton, and then I think we forced her too much at Kempton the other day in the rail keel hurdle, and she went very wide and the ground was too soft. And we've done her win since, and that was looking to be Ben Brain thought was bothering her. So we will see a better mare. Last year, Damned Company won the Coral Cup on the Wednesday, and we tried to give her £7 earlier in Cheltenham's year in December. So that franked her form. So we were very hopeful last year, but could never imagine she would win.
And how are you going into this year?
Well, I think it's going to be to do with the ground, because she does like spring ground, and I'm just a bit worried about this forecast next week. And exactly, the weathermen in Somerset are usually pretty right, and I think it may just be a little bit too soft for her. I'd love it to get towards good. Good soft be fine, but if it was soft, it won't help.
Okay, and will you be taking her on, Paul Nichols, with Eglantine Dessau?
I don't think so. She's been a little bit disappointing of late. I think she wants a spring campaign on better ground, so we might wait for the Cheltenham April meeting. I actually like a Dan's filly in this, Roxana. She's done nothing wrong this year, just kept on improving. Tough mare. I think she'll go very close.
Okay, so now just in the interest of time, we're going to move on to the last race we're going to look at on Tuesday, which is the Boodles Juvenile Handicap Hurdle. And sticking with you, Paul Nichols, run us through your chances in that.
Yeah, two nice chances, I think. Two greys. A horse called Hoigri. I see on here is 6-1. He was 16-1 earlier in the week. I think it's after a little leaky gallop very well at Wincanton on Tuesday. But he won at Auteuil in the autumn. We bought him. He ran very well. He was third in a Grade 1 over Christmas at Chepstow on absolutely bottomless ground, which he doesn't want. Better ground. He's rated 128, which I think is fair enough. And I think he's got a nice chance. And Hal Redd, who was a winner earlier in the season at Chepstow, had a breathing operation after a disappointing run at Cheltenham, was third at Wincanton recently, needed the run badly, got dropped £3 and is on a realistic mark of 130. So he's 20-1. He's actually a lively outsider if the ground's not too bad.
And you mentioned the Wincanton gallop. Was that the one I saw on social media where you had a bunch of them all together? Yeah,
we took 12 of them there. I always do that. Just give them a day out, really. They've all done plenty of work at home. It wasn't like going for a serious gallop. They galloped around for 2 miles, had a lovely day out, a bunch of 12 of them. Politolog led them all around and did everything he could to stay in front of the end, and they just had a lovely day out. And it's just a job for them just before, sort of fortnight before Cheltenham.
Okay, great. Well, now, before we move on to our second day, just one question from Steve Robinson, which I think is quite interesting. Should the mayor's allowance be removed from the Grade 1 races? What do they get in national? Is it £7?
It's £7. I don't know about Paul. I haven't got a strong opinion on this. I've always just dealt with the fact that mayors always get a £7 allowance, and I think they get it in any race. It should be across the board. So I'm comfortable with it. I don't know what Paul thinks.
I think at the moment we're down to about 750 or 800 broodmares, national broodmares in England, and so we need to boost that number if we're going to produce enough horses to keep the number of national races that the betting shops want us to provide. So I think at the moment we need to have every encouragement still to keep the mares running and give them as many competitive chances. Whether we could then remove the weight allowance in the Grade 1s in a few years' time, maybe that's a possibility. But we do need these, as John Magnum would say, Coolmore's founded on the broodmares. He provides the standard, but you've got to have the broodmares, and that's what we need to sustain the national business.
No, good point. That's a good discussion point. Good question as well there. Right, so moving on to Wednesday and starting with the Ballymore Novices Hurdle. This is over 2 miles 5, Grade 1. And I feel like Paul Nichols has got a very good chance in here with Brave Man's Game. Would he be one of your better chances of the meeting? Yeah,
without a doubt he is. He's done nothing wrong this year. Won the Challow Grade 1 at Newbury at Christmas. One nice, he keeps on improving. It's a competitive race. The Irish have got some really nice horses in it, but he's in good shape, and we think we've got a great chance.
I'm just seeing questions coming through on the side in the chat. One's from Danny saying, AP, what horse would you like to ride in the whole week? I imagine you're probably going to say Champ later on, but in this race, in the Ballymore, would you want to be on Brave Man's Game?
I've actually, I'm very much into stats, and the horses that have won the Challow Hurling in Newbury, I don't think any of them have ever won the Ballymore before, but Brave Man's Game doesn't know that, and stats obviously get broken. So if you look at stats, Willie Mullins has never won the Champion Chase, and he's got the favourite in Shack and Bassoir. So you can't say Willie Mullins. You can't say Willie Mullins can't train 2 milers, can you? If he hasn't won a Champion Chase, so it's a bit like saying Brave Man's Game can win. I really like Bob Ollinger. Thought he looked really good last time in this. He looks like sometimes fast. This is going to sound silly, but fast airs. You get a Nisterbrack or a Hardy Eustace or horses like that, a Faheen that win this race that go back and win champion hurdles. Willie's horse that won in Leopardstown, Gallard Dominial, I don't know if he could drop back and trip, you know. I don't know if Brave Man's Game could drop back and trip. I think Bob Ollinger could. He got beat first time by Fernie Hollow, won the Cheltenham Bumper in Gorn, and obviously got injured that day and has won twice since. Just think he might have more pace than the others. If you're looking at one at a bigger price, Bear Gillis is not a bad horse. I'm not sure if he's up to this, but he's not a bad horse. But that's the only thing I think that Bob Ollinger might be a little quicker than the other two.
Okay, look at you, stats man. Never had you down as a stickler for stats. Where's your information coming from?
If I got paid as much in you at ITV, I would be.
Oh, I love it. And actually, we just had a question from Joe saying, please can we have a selection from each of you when discussing the race before you move on? So I'm guessing it's Brave Man Game for the trainer. Discussing him. AP, Bob Ollinger.
Bob Ollinger, yeah.
Mr. Webber, Mr. Merritt.
Galliardton Manil.
And Bob Ollinger for me as well.
Okay, so hopefully that's helping. Question about champagne and cheese, but we've got to keep going because we've got so many races still to discuss. And the next is the Brown Advisory Novices Chase, which was the RSA. I don't know about you, but I get so confused with these races changing names and sponsors.
It won't take long.
What?
It won't take long.
Monkfish,
Yeah.
Monkfish. Anyone disagree?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a question at the bottom said who's the banker of the meeting, and yeah, he'll be one of them.
It is this horse.
Yeah.
Right, so we're all agreed it is Monkfish. Can't be defeated.
What about Next Destination then?
Oh, here we go.
Give him a chance.
Here we go. Make the case,
Yeah,
Nichols.
He'd have a good chance in the National Hunt Chase.
Yeah. Okay. I've always been taught never be afraid of one in a novice chase around Cheltenham.
No, you're right.
A lot can happen in a novice chase around here. Next Destinations had 2 runs over fences, both grade 2s, won them both. Loved soft ground. I've just prepared him particularly just for this race. This has been his aim all season. He's a high class horse and probably keeps plenty to himself. You just wouldn't know what was in the locker. I'm really looking forward to running him. I think he's got too much ability, too much speed to run over the 3 mile 6 trip. I think he's better off in this, and it's always been my aim with him.
You have it sold to me, Paul. He's 14-1, so I think he's an each way bet to Norton.
Exactly.
Yeah, but just never be afraid of one. That's the thing.
No.
It's so interesting. I remember seeing Monkfish last year when he won at the festival, looking at him in the paddock. And do you remember, AP? From my memory, he was so tall and so narrow and so unfurnished looking. I was amazed he was able to do what he did. But now he really appears to have matured and filled out and fulfilling the promise that he's always shown and developing into a really nice chaser.
Yeah, I wasn't as shallow as you, Francesca. I'm not just totally into looks. You know what I mean? I like to see the one, but it's got all the ones beside his name. And he actually looked in the Albert Bartlett like a slow horse, and I couldn't believe that he showed as much pace as he did the last day in Leopardstown, over 2.5. You know, I was really impressed with him the last day over 2.5. He looked like he got it all the last day, more so than ever before. But I agree with Paul. Okay. Next Destination is definitely a great each way bet for anyone. He's very, very solid horse, and you know, it's good. There's going to be very, very few runners, and if you're getting 14-1 about him at the moment, and if Paul says you're going to run, it's a great bet.
Yeah, never be afraid of one, as Paul says. Conor O'Mara says, could Royal Pagaille be a springer?
same owner. I'd be surprised if he runs. He'd probably run in the National Chase or the Gold Cup, I'd imagine.
Yeah, that's what Joe Chambers said to me. Either the Gold Cup if it was very soft, or the National Chase if it was any better than that.
Okay, right. So that was pretty easy. Everyone agrees on Monkfish, except Paul Nichols is going to give him a run for his money.
We've got to try. Got to try.
In the Rosary Novices Chase. Moving on to the Coral Cup Handicap Hurdle. Let's go to Ben. We haven't heard much from Ben, and it's a handicap, and I feel like he's going to give us a good one.
Nicky Henderson's trained the last two winners, and he's got one called Monte Cristo in this, who has only run once this season, beating one of Paul's Echo at Kempton, beaten by 7 lengths. He's not been seen since, but Echo's obviously he's won a jumpers bumper since, and he ran well last weekend at Kempton again. Nicky's kept him fresh, and obviously he goes well fresh, having won first time up the season. And having a good record in a race is quite a positive.
It's a notoriously difficult race to find the winner, right? Only one winner in the last 10 years at a single figure price.
Yeah, he's 16 to 1, so he's a fair price as well.
There we go. Right, that one's for you. What about the rest of the panel? Can we have a selection, please?
With about 121 entered, none of which have probably everyone trying to hide their light under a bushel. I think
easy.
I think I might get Peaches the dog to help us here, but. Third Wind, does Third Wind run after winning the other day? I don't know how much he went up, but Hughie Morrison's horses in handicaps, or any of his runners at Cheltenham are always respected. If I had to pick one with my pin, that would be it, I think.
Okay, moving along.
I think Nicky's other horse, Craig Nish, won well at Ascot last time, beat Arvidici of John Joe's, only had 3 runs over hurdles. I think Craig Nish, I thought maybe have a chance. Again, I for some reason I just have this thing that I think they're better and better ground. So if it kept drying, I think he'd have a better chance.
Are we missing one? Paul Nichols, have we had your
Yeah, truly competitive race. I'm probably going to run a horse called Saint Sonnet, who's had a bit of a up and down season over fences. We thought he'd probably do quite well. He's run on soft ground, really soft ground, and hasn't really jumped that well. But he was a good horse in France over hurdles. He ran very well at the festival last year in the Novice Chase. Just hasn't really taken the jump in fences. So we're back over hurdles. I'm sure he's a 143. He's been given a mark over hurdles, which is competitive, and he wouldn't surprise me if he ran well at a big prize. Saint Sonnet.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Now moving on to the feature race of day 2, the Betway Queen Mother's Champion Chase, and I've got to say, I think this is my favourite race of the week because I love the speed and the skill of these horses over the 2 miles. It's super exciting, and the question I want to know from you guys, well, the answer I want to know is it such a foregone conclusion as the market would suggest, with Chacun Pour Soi being so short? You've got Altior in there, Nuba Negra, Politologue. For you, Paul Nichols, Min put the kettle on. He's got a great record at Cheltenham. First Flow for Kim Bailey. But Chacun Pour Soi, he needs to prove it that he can do it at Cheltenham, correct? But his record of late looks pretty good. Who am I going to pose it to first? Paul Nichols. Yeah,
he's been very impressive at Leopardstown. He looked awesome over Christmas and the last time he won. But he hasn't been to Cheltenham before. So, that is the only thing you'd have to say. But if he takes to Cheltenham, he's going to be hard to beat. Politologue, last year's winner, loves Cheltenham. It's his 6th festival, which is incredible for any horse to run at 6 festivals. To see him work at Wincanton on Tuesday, he was still full of enthusiasm, and he'll give a great run for his money. He'll bowl along. He loves the track, and he's definitely in the mix. But I do think Chacun Pour Soi, if what we see at Leopardstown is anything to go by, he will be hard to beat. But again, Cheltenham's Cheltenham. Never be afraid of one horse. And I think Politologue will run a blinding race again. Altior, his 2nd favourite there. I just, to me, looked like it came to my opinion. He just looked like he looked a little bit slow. And to me, he looked like he might be better off running in a Ryanair than a Champion Chase. He's 11. He's been an amazing horse. Just looked like he might have lacked a gear for that now. Nuba Negra, Dan. I think Dan really fancies him. I asked Dan the other day, what's your best chance of a winner at Cheltenham? And he said Nuba Negra. So he's quite keen on him. And there's several other horses there all got chances. But at the moment, I think Chacun Pour Soi is one we've all got to beat.
Yeah, and is it unfair to say that last year the race slightly fell apart? Politolog winning, but there was no Altior, two-time winner of the race. There was no Chacun Pour Soi. He was taken out last minute as well. But this year it definitely is a race to savour. AP, how much do you worry about?
I think there's one standout, as you say.
Yeah. AP, how much do you worry about the lack of Cheltenham form for Chacun Pour Soi?
As I was saying earlier, Francesca, but stats, Willie Mullins is a terrible trainer in the championship. I think he's had not from 10 or something. So he obviously can't train horses to win the championship, but Chacun Pour Soi doesn't know that. Look, he's been very good. It's hard to go against him. So it is. If you're looking for other ones, Altior, as Paul said, looked really lethargic last time. And Kempton looked slow and jumped up in the air. You'd have to say a much different Altior. He is a very good horse.
Go on, don't they? The cheap piece is on Altior.
And again, Francesca, the ground is so important here. You know, if it did happen to dry up, it would give Altior a much better chance. Would it lessen the chance of Chacun Pour Soi? Luminaries looked a much better horse than he has ever done at Kempton last time. But did he get flattered a little bit by a disappointing Altior? Politolog has been a really solid horse. Maybe won at a huge price. And again, here's me saying that Willie Mullins never trained a champion chase winner, but Silas Emery won really well in the Ace the other day. And he was fourth in the champion hurdle last year, and at 25 to 1, if there was a lot of runners, he might actually get a place, you know. So he might be one. But look, Chacun Pour Soi is the most solid. The ground would have to be a lot better to give Altior any chance of beating.
Yeah, but you kind of think, like, say Chacun Pour Soi doesn't run his race for whatever reason, you could give a chance to quite a few of these. Put the kettle on with that brilliant Cheltenham record. You've got First Flow, who beat Politolog last time out. Looking lower down, Ben, is there some value to be had?
I think the best each way bet in the race is Paul's Politolog. I don't fancy Altior at all. I think he's getting slower and slower. He's the worst place he could have raced against Nube Negra was Kempton last time out. I don't think Chacun Pour Soi will be beaten. But if he doesn't turn up, or if he doesn't take the Cheltenham, then Paul's horse is the horse to beat. He's been there and done it.
We've got a question here from Adam Collins, who makes the pace. How do you see it playing out, Paul Webber?
Wouldn't know enough about these horses. They're going to go flat out, whatever happens, wherever the ground is. Which I think I think the Paul's horse at 10 to 1 and put the kettle on, who is so game. Henry's horse is in such good form. I think she'd be the one for the forecast bet or whatever with Chacun Pour Soi.
Right, so selections down the line, starting with you, Paul Webber.
I'll have an each way bet on put the kettle on.
Okay, Ben.
Chacun Pour Soi to win, Politolog each way.
Politolog for you, Paul Nichols?
Yeah, Politolog to make all.
Perfect.
And AP?
Silas Emery each way.
Right, okay. Oh, wait, we need to have the vote. We've heard everyone's selections. Let's have the vote from you guys at home. So James is just putting up the poll. Who is your favourite for the champion chase? So everybody gets their chance to vote now. Fascinating. I was looking up Nube Negra. Started his life in Spain. I am amazed, having come from more of a flat background where it's such a kind of standard beginning for so many of these horses. Nube Negra came from Spain by a stallion called Dink, who I've never heard of, who I think Dan Skelton is now standing. Correct? Is that right, Paul Nichols?
That's right. It is.
Yeah. Interesting story. Like he couldn't win a maiden on the flat in Spain, right? And now here he comes and he's one of the fancies for the champion chase.
Yeah, interesting horse.
Yeah, I always find it fascinating looking back and seeing where these horses come from. So 3, 2, 1. Can everyone stop voting? And James is going to have the results for us. Okay, Chacun Pour Soi. I thought not quite as clear cut as it might have been. Paul Nichols, you've got a few supporters there for Politolog to make all and win. Make it back-to-back wins. Nube Negra, some support there. Put the kettle on as well. And First Flow also. Very little support for Altior in the first time cheek pieces, and Min, not much either. So interesting results there. Thank you very much, everybody, for voting, for getting involved. Also, thanks for sending your questions in. Don't forget, we are voting our favourite question for the cheese array from Barber's Cheese. Very kindly donated that. Right, Ben Merritt, you have got one for us in the Johnny Henson Grand Annual Challenge Cup. Can we know?
Yeah, I've got two. It's obviously depends on the ground again. If the ground comes up good, then Philip Hobson runs a horse called Zanza, who won earlier in the season at Newbury very easily before coming down 3 out at Cheltenham last time out. It's hard to say he would have won at Cheltenham last time because the race was won by Sky Pirate, but he had everything beaten when he came down 3 out, apart from Sky Pirate. And he was giving Sky Pirate £11. Sky Pirate's obviously he won next time out with ease. Zanza would have almost certainly been second, and the third Iblio has come out and won again. Zanza had an entry on Saturday, in which he was about 3-1 favourite at Doncaster, but he's been pulled for that, and he comes here fresh. If the ground's good, he'll run a very good race. If the ground's not, he may not run. And Colin Tizard has a horse called Dorado Allen, who AP mentioned earlier, finished second to Shishkin. He was touted as an Arkle horse at the start of the season after 2 really good wins. Things haven't gone quite that well, but he's not been embarrassed to make the company of late behind obviously behind Shishkin, behind Paul's Hitman, and behind All Mankind as well, giving him weight. He comes here in a handicap, which is a massive drop in class. He's got course form, and he's about 16 to 1.
Great. The best bit about this is that I can see this red button top left of the screen saying recording, because hopefully I can go back and watch all this and take some notes for 2 weeks' time, because juggling all these pieces of paper, I don't think I'm able to make the notes that I'm going to need. Not all of us, AP McCoy, have got a stats form expert providing us with the information. Before we move on to the next day, just one quick question. Going back to Brave Man's Game, David Clark wanted to know Paul Nichols. He's been likened to Denman, so a few people are thinking he might get done by a speedier type at the end of the Ballymore like Denman did. Would Brave Man's Game have a bit more speed than what Denman had?
Yeah, he's definitely got a bit more boot than Denman. He was second started off the season over 2 miles and was beaten ahead by John Joe's horse that won the Bet for Hurdle last week. He's not slow. Denman was an out-and-out 3 miler. Could have run in the 3 miler at that meeting. I think the biggest thing I've teased Ruby ever since, he never went fast enough on Denman that day. He got done for the speed from the turning in, whereas he's an out-and-out stair. This horse has got plenty of boot. He's not slow.
Great, thanks for that. I hope I'm getting through as many of your questions as I can. Juggling my pieces of paper, and whilst I get to the next day, we're just going to answer a question there from Valerie. When does He's an Owl run, Mr. Webber?
He's an Owl will hopefully run in the standard trainer's answer, 3 weeks. I've probably heard that from every trainer in the country, and it's about right with He's an Owl, I hope.
How did he come out of his gallop at Lambourne last week?
He was fine after his gallop. He was a little bit tight in one hamstring yesterday at Evening Stables, but he was fine this morning. So we'll just give him a couple of days to get over that, and then we'll be back on there. But I think more importantly, what about asking the work jockey who rode him?
Exactly. What about asking the work jockey? AP?
I would have just said, Paul, he's running on Tuesday. You don't need to say which Tuesday he's running. Just say he's running on Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, moving on to Thursday. We are halfway through. Actually, this is a really good question, and probably difficult to explain without seeing it all. But we move on to the new course on Thursday, Friday on the new course, the first 2 days on the old course. What's the difference? AP, you probably know it pretty well.
The old course is just much quicker, Francesca. You need a much more pacier horse. The new course, only 2 hurdles, the last sort of 5 furlongs, whatever it is, from the top of the hill, so you can take your time a lot more, probably more of a stand type. Yeah, so yeah, actually it's a very different course. You need a horse with plenty of pace and plenty of boot to hold his position the first 2 days, whereas the Thursday and Friday, just you can be a little more patient for some reason. Obviously, it's a longer straight, a longer run between the last 2 hurdles.
And for those of us relatively new to jumps racing, why are there 2 courses, and how do they decide which they run on which day and which course?
Ask one of the more experienced people, will you?
Mr. Webber, one for you.
I think probably it's 4 days racing, and probably a good idea to keep a little bit up your sleeve for the second 2 days. But Cheltenham's a mysterious place, so you better go and ask some wise old men from years ago.
Wise old men. You're not referring to the one on your left there, are you?
Years ago.
Oh, years ago. Right, okay.
These are young fellas. These are young fellas.
Right, okay. So Thursday, starting off with the Marsh Novices Chase. Now, this will be interesting because it will feature Envoy Allen, however we'd like to say it, who, as we have now heard, has been transferred from the stable of Gordon Elliott to Henry de Bromhead, and lots of questions coming through about this from a training perspective. And I think, Paul Nichols, you've answered this a bit already this week. What's it like for the horse having to transition stables so close to a big race like that? And also, if you're Henry de Bromhead, is there a lot of pressure going into this because this horse has got an incredible record and you've got to maintain that going forward into Cheltenham?
Well, this horse is probably that good in it. It probably won't make too much difference, but it's hardly an advantage to move so quickly. I assume they'll probably carry on the same diet and try and keep everything as similar as it is in his work, but it can't be an advantage anyway. That's definitely not ideal, but he's probably such a classy horse, he can probably get away with it.
Okay, and is this a one-horse race, AP?
Yeah, I was just thinking there. I think pretty much any trainer with a jump license wouldn't have minded the pressure of Envoy turning up in your yard. Look, you could look at the form of his bumper, his Ballymore win. You could think, yeah, God, what did he beat or whatever? But he keeps winning. He just looks electric to jump. He looks very relaxed, very efficient. You can ride him anyway. Like Asterion Falange fell beside him. He made the run in. He can drop him in. Just looks, he got everything. So it's very hard to pick holes in him. You know, it's very, he's 8-11. How can you say it's a bad price for what he's done? He's never been beaten, and his jumping looks so assured. If you watch Jack Kennedy riding him, he just literally seems to be able to throw the reins at him. He can do it himself. So, yeah, you're just looking for a horse at a bigger price. Maybe something like Sporting John might have a chance might have an each way chance. Don't think he'd be good enough to beat Envoy, but won a grade 1 last time in Sandown. This will be a big step up for him, but relatively lightly raced. Could be more to come from him, but how can you can't really tell anyone to back it in to beat Envoy, can you?
And what in your mind does this horse, what's his future hold essentially? So he's running over 2.5 miles in the Marsh. In the future, is he a Gold Cup horse, or does his target become the Ryanair, say, next year?
Well, I'd imagine they'd be hoping that he'd be a Gold Cup horse. I know when he won his point to point, I think it was only over 2.5 miles, which is strange for point to point, but he looks like he's got a lot of pace, but he relaxes as well. So look, if you're asking me, everyone wants to win the Gold Cup, don't they? And, no disrespect, but they all remember who won the Gold Cup, don't they? So okay. If it was me, the Gold Cup is the pinnacle. If you've got a really, really good horse that would have a chance of winning the Gold Cup at some stage, he should be taking his chance to try and win a Gold Cup. Okay,
Mr. Nichols, do you run Hitman?
At the moment, no. He's due to go to Cheltenham to Newbury on Saturday, and then the plan was to go to Aintree for the Grade 1 there. But if for any reason I didn't like the ground, Newbury thought it was too quick, and I didn't run him on Saturday, then it would come into our thoughts to possibly look at this. So it's a possibility, but that will depend whether he runs on Saturday or not.
I heard you saying on Nick Luck's podcast, whenever it was, early in the week or last week, about how it's a bit different this year going into Cheltenham because you haven't got so much pressure from the owners to have that day out, essentially. So are you able to deploy your horses differently in the races leading up to and after Cheltenham?
Yeah, that makes that easier. But the lads that own this horse really just want the best for him. He's only a 5-year-old. So it's trying to, if he was 6 years old, he'd definitely be running in this race. But he's only a young horse and, had a fall the other day when travelling really well at Sandown. And I just think the thing for him would probably to get a clear round in Newbury and head off to Aintree. But we'll see what happens. Okay,
so Ben, with Envoy Allen in the race, is it possible to find another selection, or is it
not for
one conclusion?
Yeah, Envoy Allen is like okay, he said the form's not great. He's not beating much that's come out and kept winning, but he does keep winning, and he keeps winning with ease as well. He's hard. He's just impossible to oppose with me.
Okay, right. So moving on, the Potence Network final handicap hurdle. Paul Nichols, you've got 2 heading there.
Yeah, Southfield Harvest and Stormer Rising, both run. Southfield Harvest has been progressing nicely. He'd like plenty of rain. He'll stay forever. Stormer Rising's won 2 of his last 3 races. Just looked on here, and Southfield Harvest 14-1. The Stormer Rising is 25-1, which is a massive price because there's nothing between them. And we've kept him from Chepstow when he won over Christmas just for this race. And yeah, 2 chances in what is always a competitive race.
Okay, now can you help me out here? Because Thursday, which is the feature race? Is it the Ryanair or is it the Stayers? Ryanair?
Ryanair for me.
Panel think. Ryanair.
Ryanair.
So that is that officially the feature
good question.
race? Or does
It's a
everyone?
good question, really. Yeah.
I'd say the Stairs because it's got, you know, it's
Yeah,
been there
I would as well.
it's been there for longer, you know.
Okay, interesting. Well, let's just say there's 2.
I think it probably is a stage, yeah.
Okay, well, let's just say that let's treat this as if there's 2 biggies on the day. Let's have a look at the Ryanair Chase. So this is for those that fall between the Queen Mother Champion Chase and the Gold Cup in terms of distance. It gives them an option, which I think AP doesn't particularly like. We can come on to that. But Allaho is the favourite, then Min, Imperial Aura, Melon, Fakir Dudari, Kemboy, St. Calvados. Fairly open-looking contest, would we say, AP?
Yeah, very open contest. You know, I don't think Allaho or Melina Indo really stayed in last year's RSA. Was impressive enough last time in Thurles. He beat LMA, who will take a lot of beating, I'd imagine, in the mare's chase. So she will. That was a pretty good performance. Min pulled up last time. He won this race last year, beat Melon. I actually thought Melon... Actually, Melon wasn't beaten very far in this race last year. He's been second, I think, at 3 or 4 Cheltenham Festivals. I think he was second in Supreme, second twice in the Champion, second in this. But when he ran into the Savills Chase at Christmas at Leopardstown, you can remember Patrick Mullins kind of was pretty aggressive on him, and he was a bit slow at the second last, not a bit of momentum. And that Plutar beat him. But I think if they rode him aggressively here, look, the worrying thing about Melon is he's a horse that just doesn't seem to win at Cheltenham. But I think ridden really aggressively is a very good jumper. I think it might be a better chance of him winning, you know. Just don't ask me why I'm fancying a horse that never wins there, but I just thought that I don't know, because Patrick Mullins has always gone very well. Paul Townend rode him the last day and at Leopardstown, and Paul has ridden him plenty of times and hasn't had as good a record on him. I'd imagine Paul will probably ride Allaho Soy, but anyway, or Min, one or the other. So whoever rides Melon will get a good ride, I think.
Do we know yet if Patrick is riding at the festival?
I'd say there's no chance of him riding, but anyway, I don't know.
Because he would need to turn professional, and then we have to then sit out a chunk of the amateur circuit before coming back.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know what the rule is, but I'd be surprised if he turned professional.
Okay. Ben, your thoughts, please.
I'll be on St. Calvados at those prices at 10-1. He was very close second in the race last year to Min, having near enough taken the second last home with him, and the last as well. He didn't jump too well at the last. And Harry Whittington's been out of form all year, but he's just coming back into form now. His horses are going in absolutely everywhere. And given he's got form, well, he was within the neck of Min last year, and he's near enough twice the price. Min pulled up last time out, so you have to be worried about that. I think St. Calvados is a brilliant bet.
Okay, I like that, but I'm sensing a lot of a lack of confidence in the favourite in Allaho. Mullins does seem to have a bit of a stranglehold on this, doesn't he? Allaho, Min, Melon, does Kemboy go for this? Anyone know?
I think he goes to the Stayers hurdle, doesn't he?
Okay. Paul Webber, any thoughts?
I think Imperial Aura's got a good chance. I think he's been in good form. Obviously, an unfortunate thing at Kempton, but Kim's horses are still in great form. And he's shown great form around there. And I think he goes on most ground. I think he's got a good chance.
So I think everyone has a different selection in this race. So let's find out what everyone at home makes of it. I think we've got a vote for this race as well. So James, if you could put it up for us. I'm not sure which way I would go after hearing everybody's selections. I like actually St. Calvados at the price, 10-1. That does seem to make a lot of sense in a fairly open looking contest.
Our friends say we should just disregard Min's race the other day. Nothing came to light, just wasn't him, and he could bounce back just the same as he has been around Cheltenham. So I think that's a big quandary, that one.
Just while everyone's voting, Paul Webber, question from Adam Murphy. How is Australia Day doing? Is he missing Kempton?
He certainly is. He broke the track record over fences at the age of 11 by nearly 10 seconds. And when he came into the winners' enclosure, one of the reporters said they thought that the statue of Desert Orchid bowed to him as he came in. He's 18 and he's here with, and he's educating 3 of our National Hunt yearlings in how to gallop, and they'll be taught well.
Oh, that's great. I like that story. And quick question for both of the Pauls. Which of Nicky Henderson's Cheltenham runners do you wish you had in your yard? Paul Webber, starting with you.
I think Epatante or Champ, or both, please. We're sport to have a winner for these colours behind us at Cheltenham. We'd adore that. So I think I'd have to discuss it with Frank and JP, but those two would do fine.
Paul Nichols?
Champ, and I'll be looking forward to winning the Ryanair with him.
Oh, okay. Well, we will get on to discussing Champ shortly, who runs in the Gold Cup on the last day. I hope everyone's had their chance to vote. Let's have a look at the results. Okay, Imperial Aura wins the vote, 27%. St. Calvados, 20%. Much support for Allaho. Min's fairly weak. Mellon's got some support. Fakidudaries and the others. So pretty open.
And not one for Real Steel.
Not one for Real Steel. Is he?
He's going to run.
Got him on the list. Maybe he's other. Is he other? 2%?
I don't know. He's Real Steel's one of the horses out from Willie Mullins. He ran very well in last year's Gold Cup. Looked like he might win going to the last and didn't get home. Had all sorts of problems up to now. He bled in the King George Christmas one, travelling really well into the race. But he's in good shape now. Changed the routine, just as we did Politolog last year. And I think this 2 mile 5 here is the right trip for him. So he's a lively outsider.
I think that's always quite an interesting question when trainers talk about horses bleeding. If they've bled once, what's to say they're not going to bleed again? How do you train them out of it? Can you stop them doing it?
Just do things a little bit differently, a bit of time, and it's hard to explain really. What we did work with Politolog, he ran in the Tingle Creek last year and bled, ran ordinary, finished 7th, and then since we changed things, he won the Champion Chase, won the Tingle Creek, and it seems a different horse. So you can train them out of it. Yeah, you just do things differently.
Okay, so Real Steel has had a
lively outsider.
Lively outsider for Nichols. So to the other one of the 2 double headers on the day, a bit of discussion over which is the feature race, but let's go on to the Paddy Power Stayers Hurdle. And it sees another matchup between Paisley Park and Time Hill. They've been trading blows this season already. Champ in there, but I don't think he's running, is he? We're talking about Kevin. Do we think he is? Ben, help me out.
Well, Willie said all the way along he doesn't really jump at fences well at Cheltenham, and if he runs here, he'd probably be going to the Stayers. But Willie changes his mind every now and then.
Okay, so we can't see him on the betting at the moment, but what we do know essentially is that Paisley Park and Time Hill are likely to be fighting out in terms of the market. What happened to Paisley Park last year? AP, you and I were there on the podium expecting him to run a big race in this, and he fairly bombed. Did anything come to light?
Yeah, I think he had a fibrillating heart. I think that was what they said was wrong with him. I thought he ran well enough with his reappearance at Newbury when Tyne Hill beat him. He gave him £3. Looked like he was ridden, like he was making sure that he ran well. I thought his performance in the long walk looked as good as ever. Looked like he was getting tapped for a little bit of toe from 3 out or around the bend into the straight from 3 out. got into a little bit of a pocket. I thought he did well from the last of the winning post. He was motoring. I thought he won snug. I just don't know how Tyne Hill's going to beat him. I don't know. I don't think he can outstay him unless he tries to ride him really handy or make the run and go slow and hope that he can do him for a bit of tactical speed. But it's a stairs hurdle, so I wouldn't imagine he'd be able to make the run on Tyne Hill and go slow. I just think Paul will tell you about stairs hurdles. He just looks like, look, he's not a big bucks, but he looks like that type of horse that races a little lazily. Sir de Burley has won 2 attempts. Really disappointing last time in Leopardstown. Had won the race in Navan before that over 2.5. Looked pretty good. Listen to Gar Oscar, who won last year at 50-1. Thought ran all right in Haydock last time. Maybe for an each way bet. I think it's very hard to go against Paisley Park, and it's not very original. But I just thought from the last ask at the winning post, I just thought he made up. I thought he made up plenty of ground. I thought right at the winning post he was winning snug.
And to me, he looks like the horse that epitomizes a Cheltenham type of horse, because he almost appears to kind of hit that flat spot. But Paul Webber, when they come up that hill at Cheltenham, that's really when you find out essentially if they stay properly, if they can.
That's a bit harsh on Paul. That's a bit harsh on Paul Webber. You're trying to rub his nose in it, because I think Paul Nichols' horse did exactly that against him one day.
Oh God, really? Well, you have to forgive me.
Well remembered, AP. Well remembered.
Sorry, Paul Webber.
No, great. Time for it, exactly. I remember putting a thing in the Racing Post after that race. You don't need big bucks to buy time for Rupert. But we couldn't get past him. If only Sam hadn't come off him in the Hennessy, maybe we might have got there. But it's a while ago.
I love it, all these old rivalries. But Tottenham does seem to be such an idiosyncratic track, doesn't it? In the sense that hill can really sort the men from the boys. And Paisley Park, with his relaxed attitude of running, really relishes it.
Yeah, I wonder if Time Hill can have another go. I've got he's an absolute favourite of mine. I bought his Grandam Lemon's Mill for Martin Pipe, I think just before AP. I think probably P. Scudamore rode Lemon's Mill even. I'm not sure.
It was 10 years before me.
Oh, well, good Lord. I thought you were aging more than that. And we bought her off Judd Martin had her, then we bought her for Roger Waters. She bred Rosita Bay, who's the dam of Time Hill. So I'm still going to support Time Hill to see if he can get past Paisley Park.
Okay. Ben, have we had your opinion yet?
Paisley Park sees that hill out so well that if he's back to his best, then yeah, he'll be hard to beat, I think. A massive price. I think Tim Bailey's running Vindication in the race. And I think he can run into a place. It'll be a huge price. And from what I've heard on the preview evenings, he's quite sweet on him as well.
Okay. So I think we've got another poll here, given it's our second feature race of the day. Let's see which way everybody at home is going. And whilst you vote, I'm just going to try and have a look at the questions here. Ooh, can I look at the questions at the same time? Oh yeah, here we go. Well, that's quite a good one. AP, where was it? What's the likelihood of having a female leading jockey by the end of the week?
Yeah, don't know how many rides Rachel Blackmore has, but she's absolutely flying. So she is in Ireland. She's so tough, Branja. I seen her. She got a really bad fall before Christmas, and she rode all over Leopardstown. And I know for a fact she, I'm not sure if the actuator that they find that she was totally unbroken. So I'm sure she'll have a lot of good rides for. I'm sure she'll have a lot of good rides for Henry. You just look at the strength of Willie Mullins' team. No disrespect to any other trainer, but you just think, I looked at Paul Townend last year. The first 2 days he didn't ride a winner. Didn't think he was particularly great in a few of them. Benny did Joe. There was a few of them that I thought he could have been better on. He rode 6 winners the last 2 days, so it's just impossible. Look, how could you back anyone to beat Paul Townend if he stays down? It's not possible.
Yeah, good point. We're going to get the results in soon, but I quite like this question for Paul Nichols. Are you still buying a lot of your horses in France, or are you sourcing a lot more from the point-to-point fields?
Some and some, really. To be honest, wherever you can get them. No preference, really. Some and some, really. It's we've been buying a lot of stores of late and bringing them through. We've got a system that works with Will Biddick, so we probably most summers now buy between 16 and 23-year-old stores and bring them through Will Biddick's system and join us then as 4-year-olds. So we've been doing that a lot more.
Okay, and while we're here, how's Dancing on the Edge?
Fine, yeah, just going along nicely. She's in amongst all the 4-year-olds. You know, the last is a bunch of 3-year-olds and now turned 4, doing everything nicely. Lots of schooling, work. You know, just building up what their experience of the strength. And you know, if we can run them in the spring, we try to, but the majority of them won't run till next autumn. But she's a lovely filly, very happy with her.
Yeah, good. I remember her being a lovely type of horse when I saw her there back in whenever it was in the summer at some stage. So wishing you the best of luck with her for the Old Gold Racing members. Okay, so that's Thursday's big races done and dusted. Let's go. Oh, actually, let's get the results of the poll. Paisley Percent, definitely much stronger support for him than for Time Hill. Bit of support for Roxana. Did she go for this? Maybe not. We'll find out.
I'm not sure what Dan's decided yet.
Yeah, Liz Nagar Oscar as well, last year's winner at 7%. Right, so let's get rid of that and move on to Friday and get started with the JCB Triumph Hurdle. Tritonic, really good winner the other day. And then you've got the 2 horses that were in training with Gordon Elliott, Zanahir and Quixilios. Quixilios now has moved to Henry de Bromhead. Zanahir, do we know what happens with him?
I think they're waiting till tomorrow, aren't they, for the judgment, as it were.
Okay.
They said they were going to wait until after the Marsh Racing Board had spoken.
Okay. But we presume the horse is going to run in one shape or another.
We'd know no more.
We shall find out more tomorrow. Lots of guesswork going on here at the moment. Okay, so on the race, Ben, how do you see it playing out?
I've got no strong opinion on the race, but I couldn't help but be impressed with Tritonic the other day. And I know AP will very know the Adonis winners don't have much luck in this race, but Tritonic must be one of the best flat horses ever raced in this. And he was brilliant at Kempton the other day. But
I feel like, having spoken to Mick Fitzgerald on the podium at ITV, kind of not while the cameras were rolling, he tells me often that to win this race, if you're getting a horse from the flat, that they tend to be not the high performing horses from the flat that do well in this race. How does that work?
Yeah, you're asking the professionals. But Tritonic for me, he just looked really good. I have no strong opinion on the race anyway. But
okay.
From what I can vision, he's brilliant.
Okay. AP, can you cast any light on that? Why good flat horses not tend to make the transition so well as the less good?
Nowadays, not many of them stay over jumps. You know, very, very rare that a horse at 99 that tries, you know, goes over jumps. So I think Max McNeil has always said that he wanted to win the Triumph. And this obviously been a pretty good. The horse he beat the twice of Gary Mears. He's rated £20 better than him in the flat, so he should be. You know, Gary's rated 69 or something, so he beat him at Ascot not as easily. He beat him much easier at Kempton on Saturday. He does look like a good jumper for a horse that is a pretty highly rated flat horse. Just was so impressed with Zanahir at Ferryhouse when he won the day of the Drinmore and the Royal Bond beginning of December. Just looked like he had some boot. Looked like he had got the lot, and he won over Christmas when the trainer didn't have a winner. Practically, I think he ran something like 100 horses over Christmas and 9 of them won or something. You know what I mean? So Zanahir was one of them, and he still won pretty snug. So I know we don't know who's going to be training him or whatever, but the you know, he's had a lot of winners the last couple of days. Actually, 4 winners on Monday or whatever. And anyway, look, I just think Zanahir looks an absolute tool. So he does. Be very surprised if he doesn't win.
Anyone else have strong thoughts? Either Pauls?
I like Tritonic. There's one on a stiff track at Ascot. He won on an easy track at Kempton. Zarkanda won the Adonis before he went on and won the Triumph. Similar type of horse, and I'm very, very, very keen on him.
Other Paul?
Richard Seal, I thought was terribly impressive. Won by 22 lengths. and then was bought from Paul Holden. And I think Derek O'Connor does a lot of the work down at Paulson. That one, I thought he was terribly impressive. I thought at 7-1 he might be a different view. I agree with AP about Zanaria, and he's by Nathaniel, who looks like becoming one of the great new jumping stars that we've got around. He's also the star of Concertista, so he's going to stay. So I think those two.
Interesting race, isn't it? It's produced 4 subsequent champion hurdle winners, and was won in 2014 by anyone? Who won it in 2014? Who won a Grand National or 2?
Oh, that Tiger Roll thing.
Tiger Roll.
Tiger Roll, exactly. Right, now moving on to the Albert Bartlett Novices Hurdle, won by Monkfish last year. I've got to say, I'm probably not a very good indicator, but this is the one race that I looked through and couldn't get that excited about. Is it a slightly below par edition, or am I completely off the mark there? Ben, help me out.
The race is always a bit of a minefield, and it generally goes to a bigger price horse. But the horse I like is towards the head of the market is Gordon Elliott's Fakira, who chased home Gallard de Menil last time out, and he looked for the world like he wanted 3 miles on that day. He's got some brilliant form. Like I say, he usually goes to an outsider, and it is always a bit of a minefield. But you need a bit of experience to win this, and he's got that.
Okay, at bigger prices, Barbados Buck 10-1, 3 Under Through 5 20-1, both run for you, Paul Nichols. Did they both run?
Yeah, they both run. Both nice horses. Barbados Bucks has just kept on improving. It's rated 143 now. He won with a £10 penalty at Kempton the last day. Stays on really strong. He's a good solid jumper and a douse there, so I give him a great chance. 3 through under 5, won at Musselburgh recently. He's unbeaten over hurdles. Just wouldn't know what he keeps in the locker. There could be a lot more to come, and he'll definitely get the trip. 20-1's quite a nice price, but our strongest fancy would be Barbados Bucks.
Okay. I always think it's really interesting with these races at the festival, seeing how horses progress through races year on year. So these kind of horses, the Albert Bartlett horses, would in theory come back in what's now known as the Brown Advisory, right? Like Monkfish, and then go on to become Gold Cup horses. Is that the natural progression?
That's what you'd hope for anyway, yeah.
Well,
that's the plan.
Gold Cup horse in this field?
Well, last year's race, Monkfish beat, what was it? Latest Exhibition, Fury Road and Time Hill. So it's an exciting race for the future. It certainly is. And I think whatever happens here. What about Tom Lacey's horse, Adrimel? Now it's got some headgear on. I thought stayed on very well, made the running. Obviously wants further at Warwick the other day. I thought at 16-1, that was he might be a good each way shot.
AP, any future stars?
Don't know about any future stars. I kind of thought Fergal O'Brien's horse won really easily when he won in the head of what's he called, Alaphilippe or something. Alaphilippe, yeah. He's had 4 or 5 runs. He was beaten. He just got beaten in Taunton over 2.5 mile, whatever. But when he stepped up, I think it was 2.7 when he won in head, and he won. He won very easily. It wasn't much of a race, but he did win very easily. And I thought he might run well at a big price. But the lads are right. You need for some reason in recent years, horses that have won it have had lots of runs. Very experienced horses. So I don't know. And Golo of Willie Mullins might be an interesting one. I actually thought he was an okay horse when he won in Navan, but he's been very disappointed ever since. But if he ran him in that race, he might be interesting.
Yeah, we've got someone who I think was obviously happy with you a few years ago, coming up as M. McAleer on the questions. AP, you tipped, you know what I mean, Harry at a big price a few years ago, and he wants you to repeat that feat. So is that your selection, the Alpha Philippe?
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Okay, no pressure.
Harry had very good handicap form going into the Albert Bartlett. So he did pretty good that was running a novice hurdle. So anyway.
Okay. Right, so now for our last feature race of the week, the big one of the week, the Well-Child Cheltenham Gold Cup. And this time for this race, we're going to have a look at the field here. So you've got Hall going for the hat-trick of wins. Album Photos favourite. You've got Champ there off the back of a really good run in the Game Spirit at 5-1. Aplutard 6-1. Royal Pagaille, who not sure if he's going to go, judging on what you guys are saying, probably not. Frodon for you, Paul Nichols. Such a good winner under Bryony last time. Santini is looking a little bit slow now. Kemboy, if he goes as well. Native River down the bottom there at 16-1. So we are going to have a vote on this one, but we're also going to give each of you 60 seconds exactly to state your case for the horse that you think is going to win. And I can pretty much predict most of them, especially AP. So I'm going to get my little clock going here. Stopwatch. Right, 60 seconds to make your case, and I'm going to cut you off at the end of 60 seconds. Go.
Very impressed with his comeback run in Newbury. Looked a really strong stare when he won the RSA last year. It'll be very hard for Album Photo to win 3 Gold Cups. The form of his race last year, you could say, was a little bit suspect. Plutar is probably his biggest danger. But I would like to ride Champ, obviously, my horse in the Gold Cup.
Right, needed less than 60 seconds to make a strong case for Champ. Paul Nichols, go.
Frodon, 6 times winner at Cheltenham. He's won a Cotswold Chase, he's won a Ryanair, won at Cheltenham first time out this season, off top weight, and then, of course, he won a King George. Horses that win a King George end up winning a Gold Cup. Right profile, good form, good chance.
Great. Paul Webber?
Album Photo, he's won 2. We all like a dream. I'd love him to win a 3rd one. My brother-in-law, Pat Kavanagh, drives Willie everywhere. They've been friends since at Ross Cray at school. And he related of the gallop at the Curragh last week when Willie took the whole gang there. He was most pleased with Album Photo and Concertista. So I like a bit of history for the Mullins team.
Tell you what, you could all get a job on ITV Racing, succinct and to the point. I like it. Ben, your turn.
Aplutard for me. He obviously won the Savills Chase, and Savills is generally a good prep for this. He's won at the festival before. He was a staying on 3rd in the Ryanair last year, and at the minute there'd be no better story than a female jockey winning the Gold Cup.
Right, I like it. Now, everyone at home, it's your chance to vote. We're going to put the poll up. Have your selection there. You can have your say based on the selections of our panelists or on whoever you like at home. Good case made for a variety there. I'm not quite sure which way I'd go. I think possibly Champ. I've got to say, I've only seen him on the TV since Cheltenham last year, but gosh, he looked like a real finished article. He looked big and round and strong. He showed a good ability over the fences, a nice bit of speed there, a good comeback run. So I think I might be with AP there on Champ. I just feel like there are holes in the form of last year's finish with Album Photo. Who did he beat? Santini, lost in translation. I wasn't hugely impressed with that. And whilst, yes, history would be nice to have 3 in a row, I can pick holes in that. And maybe the reaction of AP if Champ wins will be the best thing about the week at Cheltenham. I'm guessing your little boy can't come this year, AP?
No, Archie will be cheering him on. He went to see him the other day, so yeah, he'd be hoping he wins.
Will there be any furniture left in the house if he gets beat?
Oh God, I'm not so sure about that. I couldn't understand why he didn't win at Newbury the last day. He didn't register with him that that it was only 2 miles. Didn't care what trip it was. He just said he thought he should have won. So
yeah.
The horse has got to redeem himself as far as he's concerned. I don't think he'd be not very forgiving child.
No. Well, parent, pedigree comes out sometimes.
Not my fault.
No.
No.
Just a couple of questions here. Where's Pagaille going? We mentioned it earlier. Royal Pagaille. Where do we think he was going?
Well, I was told that if the ground was anywhere near sort of verging towards good or just a bit, he would go for the 4 miler. But on soft ground, they were going to go for the Gold Cup. That's what Joe Chambers told us.
Okay. Right, let's get the result of this poll. I think it could be quite interesting. Frodon. Ooh.
Good boy.
Well done, Paul.
I think, Paul, were you in the debating team at school? Were you good at making a strong
No,
case?
just shows what a popular horse he is. You know, he's got a good following, and a lot of people would love to see him win.
That would be amazing. It's front running tactics.
We'll see what happens near the time. He loves to go forward, but he doesn't have to make it. But he you know, just his enthusiasm and his way he jumps, he's better off in the first 3 or 4. So he's not going to be last anyway.
It'd be an amazing result, wouldn't it, to see Frodon and Brani winning the Gold Cup. How's Black Horton getting on his new home?
Yeah, he's good. He's down on Dartmoor with Jimmy, and he's enjoying his new life, which is good.
That's great. Brilliant. Now we have got a couple more races after the Gold Cup. Do we want to mention in the St James's Place Festival Challenge Cup, normally for the amateur riders, correct? And Paul, I know you've got a good chance. Bob and Co that would normally be ridden by David Maxwell, but that's not the case this year.
No, it's a shame really, because David bought this horse just for him to ride in the Fox Hunters this year. And he's one of the favourites. He won well the other day with Sean Byrne up at Haydock. Of course, David can't ride him, but thankfully he said we can get on and run him, and he'll renew his partnership with him after 29th of March. He would go well. And I actually own a horse with a pal of mine, John Bolton, called Chamaron, that's unbeaten. He won 2 point-to-points last year, won the Imperial, he won the Coronation Cup at Larker, and then he won his point-to-point, his Hunter Chase at Leicester the other day to qualify for this. And I said to Harry Cobden today, I assume you'll ride Bob and Co. He said, no, I want to ride Chamaron. So it's quite interesting. So if he's right, Sean will stay on Bob and Co. and Harry Cobden will ride Chamaron.
Okay, interesting jockey bookings there. And Ben, I think you've got one to finish us off in the Martin Pipe conditional jockeys.
Yeah, it's a race that Gordon Elliott always targets, and he's got a horse called Wide Receiver in it, who looks well treated off on 30. He's chased home a good horse of Jesse's called Ashdale Bob over in Ireland. And yeah, this looks like it's been laid out all season. There is a horse of Willie's that's been well back for the race in the last couple of days, called Ganapathy. He's entered in the Supreme as well. I quite fancy him for the Supreme, but there's been a lot of money for him this week, and he's now into favourite from big prices.
Okay, great, thank you. And in my running order here, it says all panel to confirm their dark horse for the meeting and then their nap. AP, what does your form man tell you?
Oh dear, I don't know about my nap. I'll ask one of the lads first. I'm trying to think. I'll probably LMA and the Merritt Chase. I think LMA will win the Merritt Chase. I think. My dark horse.
I know that's your nap. Okay.
Yes, my nap. My dark horse. Yeah, maybe Craig Nation, the Coral Cup, Nicky Henderson.
Okay. Who wants to go next?
Oh,
Ben, come on, help us out.
Mr. Whittaker will be my dark horse in the Paddy Power Plate. So on the Thursday, he was second in the race last year. He's £2 lighter this year, and he's been he's had a very light campaign. He was a big eye catcher last time out of Warwick. As for a nap, Ellie May would be very strong. After he's after the Gold Cup, I think he's really going to win it.
Okay. Right, over to the Pools.
My nap is Hook Up in the Mayor's Novice Hurdle. Interestingly enough, I only realised tonight that Ellie May is a half sister to Goshen. So I thought
Really?
that was quite impressive.
Right.
Yeah. And my dark horse is Iblio. Venetia Williams, if it turns up soft, I don't know what it runs in, jumps very well, there'll be a big price, and that would be my dark horse.
Grand Annual, I think.
Is it?
I think so, yeah.
I wish I was able to take notes whilst hosting at the same time, but I can't, hence I've got to go back and watch it again. Paul Nichols?
Dark horse is one of mine, Stormer Rising in the Betemps Network handicap hurdle, and my nap is Goshen in the Champion Hurdle.
Right. Okay. Great. So I think now is our Q&A section. So I think I'm not sure we even got to the stage in the running order with my team Old Gold Racing. I think we just asked the questions that have appeared in the chat panel on the side here. So I'm just going to try and pick out the best of them as I go through. David Clark wants to know, Paul Nichols, how is top of the game? Gutted after having him in so many anti-post bets with confidence for the Gold Cup.
Yeah, he's fine. He's out in the paddock. The plan is to come back and train in on the 1st of July with a view again to having him ready to run in November, December time. So fingers crossed that we can get him there this year. Obviously very fragile and he's a bit of a challenge.
Okay. Now I like this question. Francesca, can you ask the panel if they won the cheese hamper, what would they do with it? Does cheese feature in their signature dishes? Ben, are you a cheese fan?
I'm allergic to cheese, so mine goes straight in the bin, unfortunately.
Right. So not for Ben. Paul Webber, any cheese with sausages in the morning there?
No, I'm a terrible cook, but I have had a recipe printed in a Ninja Jockey's cookbook about 25, 30 years ago for my version of cheese on toast. So review it and you'll be very, very, very pleased.
Wow, I'm just mind boggles as to how many things you can do with cheese on toast, but I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's a particularly good cheese on toast. AP, are you a soft cheese or a hard cheese man?
I think you said to me a couple of weeks ago at Ascot that it looks like I'd eat anything nowadays. So,
I'm sure.
Yeah, I'd pretty much eat anything really.
I'm sure I did.
Oh no, you did.
You told me you've been in the gym.
You did.
Actually, there was quite a good question.
I actually have.
Yeah, but there was a good question that popped up, which is slightly relevant to the chat we were having the other day. I can't remember who the question was from, so I apologise, and I'm paraphrasing slightly, but would AP ever consider coming out of retirement?
No.
Oh, go on.
I would if I sort of no one knew it was me. If I could just sneak out of retirement and just, yeah, I'd do it then, all right.
Oh, like national.
If I could just go out and ride the snood in a pair of goggles. Yeah. If I could just go, I wouldn't mind it.
Did that to confuse Francesca. The snood and the goggles worked really well the other day. And then when I called you 20 times, you said you'd take your license out if we could get away with that.
Yeah, no, sadly I'm too old. Nice thought, but
Rubbish.
Too old.
Rubbish. Oh gosh, that's quite a heavy question. I feel bad for.
It's okay if it's for one of you.
Would you like this one, AP, from Jerome? With new government roadmap in place, how do you also horse racing in 21 and 2022? That's it. That's
much better than it has been recently.
Right. Okay.
Much better than it has been recently, yeah.
This is an easier one. The Frodon's chance is ground dependent, Paul Nichols.
He's quite versatile, but to be honest with you, I think I prefer the ground to be much better. Good to soft, better would be ideal.
Okay, and there was quite a good one that we had an advanced question. Oh yeah, from Tony Mather. If you had £10 left in the world at all, which horse would you put it on?
Who are you asking?
All of you. You can start.
Well, I'll go with Frodon because I know you get a good run for your money.
Wow, that's a lot of confidence behind Frodon. I like it. Okay, Frodon, Paul Webber, £10, your last £10, and it needs to win.
I'm going to go for Hookup, I think, as my nap of the week. So Hookup.
Okay. AP, we're going to... It's guaranteed. It's got to win.
I'd put it on Ramanies in the bumper at 33-1.
At 33-1?
Yeah. I mean, putting the 10 on Monkfish is not going to change my life, is it? I mean, obviously, Ramanies when it's 33-1 not going to change my life either. But last tenner. Yeah, but you may as well. I'm a dream person, so go big.
Okay, Paul, is Megan going to ride any of yours at the festival?
No, I only have one runner in the bumper, and that's Shearer, and that would be Adrian Heskin rides for the owners. It's Max Manil horse, so no, she won't this year.
Okay, what's the best ground for Brave Man's Game?
He's quite versatile. I mean, he's run well on good ground. He's run well on soft ground. So it won't be a problem to him, whatever it is.
AP looks like he's joined the clergy.
Sorry, I am pretty much. My mum wanted me to be an altar boy.
Really? What
Yeah,
happened?
it was either that or a jockey. So I just went for the jockey instead.
To be fair, you weren't bad at it.
I think I'd have met a better priest, to be honest. But anyway, who knows?
Oh God, geez, you would have had to be a pretty good priest. Question from Paul Ben. I don't think he caught your nap. What was your nap?
AP went for Freddie May, so I'll go for Apple Tard.
Okay. And which race did Ben put Mr. Whittaker up for, please?
The Paddy Power Plate on Thursday.
Okay. There's a few questions about Ireland, the Presbytery Cup. I mean, I think that's probably a foregone conclusion. Paul Nichols,
Ireland will win it, yeah.
can rally and win the Presbytery Cup?
Well, we're giving it our best shot, but we'll look up against it.
Why do you think that is? Am I being naive? Why are the Irish so strong? This is our meeting on our turf. Why are they so strong?
Well, it all goes a bit circular from, it wasn't so long back. It was the other way around. It just goes in cycles a little bit. It's like a football team at the moment. They've probably got the best squads, plenty of people investing, plenty of money, good horses. Not that doesn't happen in the UK. It's just the way it is. And it soon changes around from, give it 5 years, it might be the other way around.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, ask AP that question. What does he think?
What does AP think?
No, I agree with Paul. It's anyway, it goes in cycles. Sometimes for whatever reason, I think national hunt racing is a little bit fashionable. And I don't know. Obviously, there's obviously a lot of wealth in both countries, but a lot more of them seem to stay in Ireland now, and they're harder to get. So it goes in cycles. You look at, 10 years ago, the horses that Paul had, that they were everyone's dream to have them, and it's just hard to come. It's hard to find them, So it just goes in cycles a little bit, I'm afraid, and it'll come around again. It's just hard to try. And how do you replace a Big Bucks or a Cotto Star or well, you can't. Cotto Star is the best jumper I've ever seen. So, it's where do you go? So it just goes in cycles, just the way it is.
I imagine we get a different response from each pool, but the concentration of power in the hands of fewer trainers, we've seen it a lot on the flat, and we're seeing it more and more on the national hunt, in the national hunt world. Is it a bad thing for racing? Paul Webber?
I think it's the power of the sales. It's the power of who's being able to buy the obvious horse. When you're buying a proven horse, as Paul, everyone's brilliant at it. Once you get over 150 grand, there are less people who are in for it, but they won't get beat. And we have to keep going by buying the unproven horse and spending less money, hoping that it's going to be as good as the others. But of course, with unproven horses, it takes time, and it's a different sort of method. And as Paul and AP have just said, it swirls around between who's got the most powerful, the powerful backers behind them. And it does tend to, obviously, bigger stables getting bigger, but there's no reason that you can't still fight it out in the sales ring and find one just as good.
I feel sorry for Paul Nichols, so I do, Francesca, because no one likes someone that wins all the time,
Do you feel that, Paul Nichols? It's just like
I'm going to jump in because I've got a question from a Jed Mason for Paul Nichols. Paul Nichols, which horse not going to run this year at Cheltenham are you looking forward to seeing most of all? I hope it goes well. Could Clandezobo have one last go?
Repeat that again. Which horse is?
It's not terribly well typed. Maybe Jane retype it. It says, which horse not going this year at Cheltenham are you most looking forward to seeing run somewhere else? Would be part of it. And could Clandezobo have one last blast at Cheltenham? Would be part two, I think, of his question.
I don't think he'll go back to Cheltenham. you know, he's going to go to Aintree, Clander's-a-Bow, and there's plenty of races for him. Got in the back of my mind, he could end up running. I wouldn't be surprised if next year I made an entry for him in the National. Could just see him running really well in the National, but he doesn't like Cheltenham. Much better on a flat track.
Well, Jed, you heard it here first, but you could have just run Paul and chaps and everyone. I've sort of leapt in here. Thank you very, very much for what you've just done. For everyone watching at home, if you don't have a share in one of our horses, we have 2 for sale. One is with Paul Nichols, who's there on my screen, which is dancing on the edge. And the other is with Paul Webber, who's just there on my screen. If you want a 10% discount on one of those horses, oh God, I can't remember what the discount code is. I think it's Preview. It's open for 48 hours and, you know, come and join in the fun. Ben Merritt, Paul Nichols, Paul Webber, Sir AP McCoy, Francesca, thank you so much for doing all of this. We've thoroughly enjoyed it. We'll be doing the same thing tomorrow night, all of us. That's great news, obviously. We'll be reviewing Aintree and then the Derby and then Goodwood, I guess. People, thank you very, very, very much for joining us. Everyone's enjoyed it, and we will do more soon. I don't know how to actually physically end this.
How's the Fitzstairs Fizz gone down over there, Ed?
Actually, it's still there.
The whole case, I think the whole case is gone, isn't it?
Is it on top of your shredder, or what is that in the back of your shot?
Yes, it's. I just put.
Oh, your printer.
Well, it's someone else's printer actually. When we inherited the office, when we got the office, we had a picture of Dawn Run and a picture of Desert Orchid. So we took the office thinking that was just nice provenance. But I haven't opened that yet. I nearly wore the silks myself. Thought I looked like a bit of a git.
Well, the biggest shame is that I haven't touched any of these delicious cheeses yet.
So will you just show the pictures on your Instagram? You showed the pictures of cheeses. By the way, guys, you won't like the cheddar that comes with the
Apricot.
No, the other one that I really want.
Truffle.
The truffle one. You'll hate it. So can you put it in an envelope and send it to me, please?
I've actually.
I will dispose of it. I'll dispose of it in a brilliant way.
Right.
Ben, Paul, AP.
Paul's gone to bed. The other Paul's gone to bed.
He's gone.
Very, very much.
We have waffled on for a long time. Thank you, everyone, as well, for watching at home. Thank you for joining in.
Right, James is coming in like the executioner.
Wait. Who wins the cheese for the best question?
Who won the cheese?
I have absolutely no idea.
Okay, what was the best, Cheska? What was the best question?
What was the best question? I think the best question is who would do what with their cheeses.
Yes, that was a great one. Okay, whoever the cheese meister was with that, you've won the cheese. This finger's hovering over our future existence.
James is about to shut us all down.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. I'll see you all at Newbury tomorrow, where we're going to do okay.
Let's see what we
Good
do.
luck, everyone.
Night, everyone. Thank you so much.
See you. Thanks.
Thanks for everything.
Cheers. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Evie.
Bye bye.
Thank
Cheers.
you.